Hi there, captains and construction workers. It's Miss O'Plays back, and this week we're taking a look at one of the things a lot of y'all were asking about last week, and that is the insides of ships. Would I be decorating them? The answer, of course, is yes, and this is the first ship to get that treatment. So behold, the Crimson Fleet Apparition. This is a chimera that was kindly and lovingly donated by SysDef some time ago, and this has been my base in space ever since. Living well, as they say, is the best revenge, so kitting this puppy out to become a floating pirate palace felt like a great place to start on my ship decor adventures. Not only that, but it's a pretty nice sized ship. It's got some big habs, it's got some small habs, so it should offer us a good look at some of the things that are possible with these new building options. The cockpit up here is a Deimos Ares bridge, which frankly is perfect as it is. So put some plants and a poster up here to add some of that Crimson Fleet red, but aside from that, it doesn't really need anything. And then just below the bridge, I swapped out the existing habs for these 3 Stroud ones to create my captain's suite. And the first one is this workshop, and this is a Stroud workshop. I went with the fully furnished one already since I pretty much just be filling it with workbenches anyway, and it comes with some really neat furniture items that we can't build ourselves otherwise. But I did add some extra furniture, as you can see down at the bottom end, and added some extra decor like that whiteboard and these posters to make it look a bit more polished, whilst adding some junk items too to make it look like it's more in use and in action. And then this companionway is going to take us over to the captain's quarters proper. And I've been using some of these office dividers and pictures to cover up some of the storage areas to keep this luxury vessel thing going, even in those companionways, which can be a little tricky to do. But that does bring us on here to my captain's quarters. And this is an empty Stroud 2x1 hab. It's captain's quarter hab empty. And I really like these new desks that they've added. They've got this cutout so they fit really nicely into these bolsters that stick out of the walls, which makes furniture placement a little tricky with some of the pre-existing items from the old build menu. Also, those desks are big, so I was able to make my office area and kind of like a tinkering bench over on that desk for my girl to get her work done in private, right here in her nice captain's quarters. Now, originally the bed, if you remember them in these habs, was a sad, very uncomfortable looking plank of wood with a pillow, and we've swapped that out now for this lovely double bed. So we're sleeping a little bit better than we were before, much more like those Trident liner officers' quarters. And I've been using the wall shelves a lot in those hollow walls because they help fill in some of that blank space, as well as giving you some way to decorate those walls. Speaking of awkward walls, we got these ones here with the struts. I managed to get one of those monitors in here to look like a big screen television, and then flow one of the coffee tables up there to make like an entertainment console underneath. Now, this couch with my tea set, very nice. Originally, I wanted to put a porthole here and have a window out on the stars. However, every time I added a porthole here, it put a stupid set of ladders on one end or the other of the hab and kind of ruined everything. So I had to give up on that dream, which is why we got that couch. But we still got a pretty nice dining area over here, even if it is windowless. And then I built this kitchenette behind those dividing walls and just to the side of those supply shelves, which is making a lot of use of what was otherwise dead space before in this hab when it was still furnished. And then the final part of my captain's suite is this armory with that bounty terminal, which I visit frequently. And as you can see, it's very well stocked. I actually started decorating this before the update was announced with plants and knickknacks, and it's been nice to be able to keep that going now with this update. Now my plants don't keep flying around. But we got a bunch of Crimson Fleet armor and weaponry to keep that pirate theme going, since we still don't have any faction-based furniture. Some mannequins up here. It's a shame that they're just sort of standing on tables still, not in a case, but you know, we make do with what we've got. Particularly happy with this particular tableau with the gun magazines and all the Crimson Fleet helmets up there. And I've been using these paintings from the new build selection to tuck into those desks to give them a custom feel. So even if you're using a pre-decorated hab, you can still customize it and make it feel your own using little bits and techniques like that. So that's my captain's suite, and I don't know if it's look or placement, but my companions leave it pretty well alone. But while I might not want them in my captain's quarters, I do want to give them somewhere nice to hang out too. And this is my mess hall. Now, this was one of the empty Stroud 3x2 mess halls originally. And boy, is this a great hab to decorate. It is huge. Like this is significantly bigger than most of the player homes in the game that you can buy. It's got, I think, four different rooms. And this is one of the rooms from that mess hall, which I've turned into a library for Cora. She kept saying, wouldn't it be nice if the ship had a library? Well, girl, it does. It does. It's going right here. And I've been filling these bookshelves, the glass fronted ones, using the technique I showed at the end of last week's video. It was a faff, but I feel worth it for how I feel books should be stored on a spaceship. And that brings us on through to this dining area here. I love these new chairs. They look so good with the wooden tables, but still have that really classy luxury vibe that the other wooden ones do not. And I got this ancient branch up here floating to make like a centerpiece without blocking the view of your friends. And you can find those in front of the mayor's home in Aquila City if you wanted to find one for yourself. Then we got those less formal dining options over there on the right, and then down here is my game room. We got some couches, board games, all of that kind of fun stuff happening in there. And that'll then bring us on through to my kitchen. Again, this is still part of that Stroud hab, as are those walls and the window. It is nice, and the space is, again, absolutely gigantic. Now, I've used some of those cabinets like you've seen me use before to make that kitchen counter, and then fronted it with some of the new paintings to make it look a little bit sleeker. Now, this galley kitchen is one of the things that remains even in the empty hab. I'm glad that it does, because it's actually fully functional, which meant there's no need to put in one of those kitchen workstations if you want to have a working item you can actually cook on. Tranquility is, of course, the poshest beverage in the cosmos. So we got my tea station back there and another one of those toast stations because, I don't know, I just think they're neat. And that's going to take us on through now to the pantry, which, boy, was that fun to stock. Yeah, kids, if you thought sinking items in outposts was annoying, be prepared because it is so much worse on the ships. I don't know why it is, but just about every single junk item has been needed to be placed twice because it started getting absorbed into the surfaces. It's a slog. So that's where we're chilling. Let's take a look and see where we're living. And this would be the entrance to the ship when you come up from that first docking bay. We got this cool window either on the stars or right now looking at New Atlantis, and I put like a little table and chairs there too so you can chill out and watch the cosmos go by. Statues, of course, make everything look like a trident liner, so we got those there too to really make an impression when you first board this ship. And I might have tucked those paintings into those storage shelves to cover up a little bit of the junk and keep that classy liner vibe going. Now this brings us into our crew stations. This is a regular Stroud crew station hab, but I managed to furnish up this little area here to create a little lounge area. I really like the way these navy couches look in the lighting for this particular hab. We got some more of those paintings back there to cover up some of those storage shelves. And then we got the Deimos model because art, who doesn't love a little bit of art? Now this one is built into one of the Stroud 2x1 living quarters. It's a really nice size hab to build into. The original one had quite a lot of dead space, but we can address that. The beds here, originally the one on the bottom did lose its bedroll, but you can add in one of those sleeping bags to make up for it. And not only will those beds still give you that crew and passenger slot stat, but the bedroll that you add will also work. Your companions will still use it, even if you add your own in there. Now, I've been using these letters and numbers in this one, obviously, the letter O, to create some mid-century modern wall dividers. And I'm really excited to see just how much we can do with that, because I think I should be able to make some pretty good geometric wall art using those too. Now, down here, we got some bunk beds to create in what used to be dead space, a new living area. Now, this won't add to your crew capacity at all, but it does give your crew an extra place to sleep, which I know for some of us can feel pretty important from a roleplay perspective, even if it isn't necessarily going to affect our stats from a playing perspective. So that would be one of my first living quarters. Let's come on through now to my utilities, starting with this cargo hold. Because, I mean, let's face it, what pirate ship is complete without a place to place your plunder? And I've been building these shelves, again, using tables like you might have seen in some of my old outposts. And you can really stock a lot of those large container crates onto them, which I like to fill with at least one item to get those glowing lights activated and bring a little bit of life to the space. And this next one is a 2x1 hab. It is an empty Stroud med bay that are split up into 3 different rooms. And the first one is actually my med bay. More really just a doctor's office. We've got the little desk down there with some medical supplies, books, all the things you might need to do a little bit of a patching up, but You know, if you got anything more than a scrape or a bruise, then we're still going to have to cut you off to the clinic to get that fixed up. But I think it looks pretty good in here. I really like the shiny white floors for their setting because they have a very clinical and clean look to them. And then I got these wall shelves stuck up here on this difficult wall space to add a little bit more of those medical supplies. And then after that, we're going to come on through to my utilities, which is something I'm actually surprised we don't have on any of the ships normally. We're kind of looking at this like my laundry room, kind of like you would have seen on Siren of the Stars and maybe Looted too. So got those laundry items up there on the counter. Got the little bin for carting all those sheets and things from the beds, and then a sunken down sink that I'm thinking of as a utility sink for, you know, any cleaning that we might need to do. This is kind of like my janitorial closet, if you will. But it gets a little bit fancier once again over here with these computer terminals. And this is my managerial console center. So this is kind of where the daily management is happening, whereas the other computers in the crew stations I see as more as being part of that engineering center of this starship. Also really loving these chairs because even in an office spaces they make things look a little bit fancier and a little bit less sterile. So now let's take a look at some more of those crew lodgings. Now this is one of the Stroud 3x1 habs, the all-in-one living habs, and this is one of the furnished ones. Like I wanted to do one furnished and one unfurnished to see how that would differ when it came to decorating. And obviously we still got some furniture items that are included. So we got these bed rolls included down here, this time a little bit messier. And we've also got some like little bins and an awful lot of storage. Like you'll notice over by the bathroom we had a lot of storage taking up a lot of space. And then as we come on through to the more living area part of it, we still got more bits. And it like things like this little table and this box, which weirdly not movable, take up a remarkable amount of the floor space. So it kind of cuts down on what you can do in these habs without actually being particularly big themselves. And you'll also notice that I've been using some of those wall tapestries over there as curtains to add a little bit more privacy to the sleeping area. And the kitchen, once again, got one of those great functional galley kitchens here. And you can see some more of those furniture and junk items that we just can't build ourselves. And I do like those, like the coffee machine and all that lot kind of make me happy. And then we've got the storage here, which actually takes up a lot of space. And we're going to see as we walk on through to this one, which is an empty 3x1 all-in-one hab from Stroud, just how much those storage items really do take up floor space wise. Like over here we got this whole set of shelves and a desk, like a whole office bit that we couldn't do before. And then of course the bedding, kind of similar, it takes up the same floor plan. Of course we had to build our own bedding rolls. This time I've been using some of those bounty terminals turned backwards to look like a locker. I got a TV going on down there and a little parsec pooch for that particular crew member. And I'm really enjoying putting these chairs in here because it make it look like a space that someone might actually spend time existing in rather than just sleeping, which, I don't know, I think that's kind of nice. And then as we come out of the sleeping quarters and into that living room area, now we don't have that table or that box. We can put some couches and chairs over in the corner. And they got another one of those TV stations up here under those struts. What are these lights sticking out the wall? I don't know. They were here at the time of filming and they disappeared again shortly after, but here they are for now. And then this is the galley kitchen once again. Doesn't look terribly different. You'll notice there's a bit more wall space there because we don't have the posters. And we can change where we want to put the table. And I kind of like it in this configuration. I think it looks a little bit more open and fun, you know, and it's not stuck up against the wall quite as much. And then where we had nothing but storage crates before, we got this whole ass gym. And like I said, like this is actually a pretty decent chunk of living space, which was otherwise taken up by those crates that we can't move or really do anything with. So they do take up a lot of floor space that we can now recover to make this really nice fitness station. And that covers the bulk of those living areas. We're going to come on through to largely untouched engine room. This is another Stroud 3x1. I really like these engine rooms and I kind of feel like a starship needs one. Like sure, I could have put another, you know, decoratable hab in here, but really, I mean, I kind of like to have the guts of the ship on display too. So that's why we got this one. And you know, I've got this chair here that's extra, some more junk, and you'll notice lighting is doing some weird things. I haven't been able to stop that, and it feels really annoying here because this room, the lighting is getting all blown out, and I don't know why. And as you can see in here, we got one of those 1x1 companionways, but this time it's been turned into a small bedroom. Offers a bit more privacy than the usual living quarters, and the crew members do actually use it. So this was a nice way to wrestle back some space that's usually not really utilized. So before we leave this starship, let's take a look at some of these habs when they're still empty to get an idea of some of those floor plans you might have to work with. This is the Stroud 3x2 mess hall, and as you can see, like when it's empty, it is absolutely gigantic. Like these 3x2 and 3x3 habs feel more like you're decorating something like the Mercury apartment than you are, say, one of the regular habs you might have built at your own outposts. So I would really look at these as basically a player home rather than a single hab if you want to add these to any of your ships. And another thing is all of the empty ones spawn all of the doors. So if there is a place that a door could go to go into another hab, it will bring a door every time. So it's not random like you might get with those furnished habs, but because it's a bit overzealous, it's really easy to lose things like, the bathrooms in some of those living quarters. So you will have to plan ahead some if you want to use those bathrooms, maybe put that wall against the outside or put it up against a hull piece or some kind of spacer to stop those from vanishing out of your habs. On the smaller side, we got this one here, which is a 2x1. It's the captain's quarters from Stroud. And this is the size we're probably using the most because it has the most variety. As you can see, it's not terribly wide, especially when you got this like bulkhead sticking out. So it feels kind of like decorating the sleep crate, but long, if I had to quantify how these kinds of habs feel. But the wide variety of configurations is definitely interesting. Some of them have these internal walls like we might see in that captain's quarters or here in this med bay. So you can kind of find a hab that fits whatever it is you want to build. If you want to build it up into small rooms or a large room, there's a lot to work with in these 2x1 habs. And that will be the tour of my first adventure in ship interior design. It's definitely a really fun mechanic to play with, and I can see myself using this a lot more in the future. I already started working on a much grungier vessel that I'm really excited to start decorating. And for outpost builders, all of the tips and tricks that we've been using seem to work really well on the ships too, like the floating item trick, that still works. So yeah, things that you've been doing on your outpost will work really well on the ships, and it's nice to see those skills transfer forward. So before I sign off and get back to building that grungy ship, I'd just like to say, as always, if you found anything in this video in any way entertaining or useful, please like and subscribe, and I'll be back again next week with more building tips, ships, and outpost tours. Till then, bye!